Hi there, thank you. Let me make sure I have the clicker okay. I am Robin Moulder, CEO of 3 Pound XR and 3 Pound Games. Come on. Clicker doesn't work. Oh, there we go. Is it actually working? So we are the makers of Vault of Stars in partnership with Meta. This game is an epic adventure game where you fly through the stars. You are a ball of light, so you don't really have much mass to you yet because you are pure energy. Fly through the stars, you transfer your energy into these epic golems, smashing around, breaking crystals, trying to solve real-world problems in the game because otherwise you're a ball of light. You also get the multi-dimensional jump into shadow realms where you fight creatures in there that are huge and scary and nasty. And I'm sure already you're wondering what the hell this has to do with enterprise training. We are also the makers, we partner with Montague Park to do Slime Rancher. If any of you guys know that game, it was an indie hit back in the day. It's still quite popular. We built the VR playground. It's free and available for you if you buy the game. Space Dragon is a game that we did a long, long time ago for that old Rift. Some of you may be familiar with wires on your headsets. You fly around and you blow up planets. You are a couple of baby space dragons. Check out those cool shaders on those bad boys. That's a lot of optimization going on right there. And Shattered Tower over here, a 4-player puzzle adventure game where you run around and try to do cooperative play and solve problems that had to do with wizards making messes, and your job is to clean up after them. So we just take a minute to think about what actually drives adoption. So everyone's heard content is king. Quality content drives adoption. We've seen a lot of bad XR out there. That's not going to move the needle. If the frame rate is bad, people get sick. They're not going to use the headset. If they don't have enough content, they're not going to use the headset. If they have 2 VR trainings and 30 hey, I didn't do that. Am I controlling this? Back. There we go. Okay, I think I'm in control now. If we don't have enough quality content, people aren't going to use the headsets. That's a problem. They're just going to sit in the closet. The CEO is going to walk by. They're going to yell at the IT people. And they're going to, why did we buy all this junk? It's just sitting there. So we need to drive this. We need to bring content to these headsets and make sure they're high quality and that people use them. That's going to take a lot of our skills. Top-notch visuals. We're all very familiar with that. With game development, we make sure this stuff looks killer. Amazing environments. I mean, how many of you spent way too much time possibly reiterating those environments? Spatial interactions, how we move, how we feel, how we do things in a game. We talk about that endlessly for hours in the most crazy ways. How do you drive a golem around in VR, and what does it mean to smash a rock, and how can you break a crystal, and why is that different than any other thing? These are conversations that we all have in these fantasy worlds. The audio is so very important, but you know what? In a game, you press a button, you smash a thing, you're in a different world. I can make up whatever I want because you don't really know what that sounds like. What does it sound like to blow up a planet? Do you really know? I had to make that up. That was fun, don't get me wrong. Kinesthetically pleasing is a term that I use for, am I teaching you the way that you're receptive to learning? In gaming, we're teaching people all the time. We're onboarding you constantly. We're always showing you the next mechanic. How are you going to play this game? How am I going to get you into the story? I have to teach you a little piece of the story while I'm also teaching you how to interact. In Vault of Stars, you're a ball of energy. So how do you grab anything? You can't really grab anything. You're just mass. You can reach into other balls of energy and you can grab the energy out and pull it out with that nice snap feeling of here's a nice haptic and here's a nice sound effect that gives you that feeling. And that, we had to teach you how to do that. That's tricky. So why wouldn't I teach you how to, run your hospital? Makes sense to me. So we applied this to enterprise training. This is what it looks like when game developers do enterprise training. You get high quality visuals, you get amazing interactions, The sound is there. The top left there is a partnership that we did with the Culinary Academy of Las Vegas. This is a real restaurant. This is West Side Bistro. It's a training facility. We actually digital twin their entire campus for their student training. So if you go to Vegas, you can actually go and sit in this restaurant, and you'll be blown away with how good this looks. We built cafe stars around this. There's a lot of screaming and shouting about like get the order out here and a truss and all the things that they yell with hot plates and that sort of thing. Over there on the right is medical training. We have built. We're in partnership currently with Tucson Medical Center, and I'll tell you more about that in just a minute. Like that's the stuff. Like we got to like help the real people here. These are the frontline workers who were hailed as heroes during COVID. Why aren't we helping them out? Why aren't we giving them the best training possible? Down here on the left, this was a great example for enterprise training because it really showed what it was like to work in a factory. When you work at a factory and you know what it's like to work in a factory, I put a headset on you and there's not much sound or there's not much feedback going on, and it's just spot the error with the part. That's not going to cut it. They got to have sound, distraction, noise. It's all got to be there. So in this experiment here, this demo here, what we do is these wheel hubs, they drop down, they make this incredible crashing sound like dun, 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 and they're really loud and it's really obnoxious. And behind you, behind the walls that you could never even see because you're just working your job here, there's like jackhammers going off, there's random sounds going off that are just gonna be in your noise view and disrupt your thought process, because that's what you have to deal with in a factory, and you should know what it's like to actually work there. The haptics on this belt here, when you get close to the belt and you're kind of scraping it, you get a little light like, hey, maybe you shouldn't do that, that might be a little dangerous. If you actually drop your hands in it, you get the big haptics crash. You get the epic buzzer sound, and that epic buzzer means you're wasting the company millions of dollars a minute because you dropped your hands in that line, and we had to stop the line. That's very, very, very bad. The sound stops, everything stops, and then the PA says, could I have a nurse come to the office, please? And in that moment, you realize what you've done and how serious this is for you to do your job right. I've seen people get in this the first time, their posture is bad, they're leaning over, they're picking up the part gently, looking at it, just kind of like trying to figure out, do I have it right? And it's not good. They drop their hands. Like 5-10 minutes later, they do this 3 or 4 times. Suddenly, they're sitting up straight. They're like, boom, 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 using both their hands, and they're getting it right. They're throwing stuff into the thing. Like, that's money savings opportunities. That's the stuff manufacturers want to see. They can speed up the line. They don't have to do all the onboarding on the line while the line is running. They can do the onboarding in VR, get you up to like 50% of the way, then do that last little bit in the actual manufacturing space. That's where you want to be. You want to be, we're not trying to replace real training. We're trying to like build that onboarding component before you get to the, oh wait, I got to do this for real. So for you as game developers, and I'm assuming there's some in the audience, you need to understand your value in this. A lot of us take it for granted that we make these incredible games, but we don't really think about what does that mean, like what do we really have here? Knowledge and experience and alignment, and we'll get to those in just a minute. So understanding your value. When we started Shattered Tower, this was kind of, you guys know Super Mario Brothers Wii? That was like a really, really fun multiplayer game. It was a side scroller. And there was a lot of shouting and possibly divorces that came out of that game because you had to work together. And if you didn't work together, you were dead. You were stuck. You were bubbled. You were stuck in a bubble. And if you all died, the game was over. I wanted that feeling in this game. I wanted that sense of gravity that we have to work together. We have to communicate. So the brain engagement is real. Want that good stress where you're right on that edge of hating it, but then you're like, no, I can do this. We want impossible scenarios. We want it to be super duper fun. And doesn't it sound like I'm talking about VR training right now? It doesn't even sound like a game anymore. When you start breaking it down into these components, satisfying core loops, I mean, I want to do things over and over and over again. That's what we do in gaming. That's what we want in VR training. We want people to want to put on the headsets and train. And that's going to drive adoption because they're going to tell their boss, I want more of this VR training stuff. One of the scenarios in Shattered Tower was fire demons in the keep. So you have magical wands in Shattered Tower, no shock there. We had a variety of different things that you could do with the wands. One of them was a cone of nice cold spray to put these fire demons out when they come rearing their pesky little heads. So they're running around shooting fires at the beds, and you're like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? So you have to kind of like position yourself in the room in the right spot, and then kind of watch out for where they might appear, and then hit them at the right time. So it's a very stressful environment, especially when they're shooting fire in your face. It didn't take long before we realized how good we got at this. You could just stand there and you're like, boom, boom, boom. Oh, I kind of know where he's probably going to be. And then you start to recognize the patterns of like when the first little glint of some fire shows up and you're like already on top of it and you shoot him in the head and he drops down to the ground. So really quickly you realize that this is valuable stuff. Like this is where it's at. So we turned it into a fire safety module. So this is big money savings. Nobody has to actually light a fire to be able to do fire demonstrations or to learn what the process is, the steps behind it. You can do it over and over and over and never get burned. These are great things. We can test all kinds of impossible scenarios. In this scenario, actually, that forklift driver over there is actually the one that caused the problem. It's pretty hilarious. I have a clip for that too if you want to see it. This was a game demo we started to put together, and as game developers, you know that a lot of times you do a lot of mechanics for fun. Let's see if this is going to be fun. We wanted to do something that was beyond the normal stealth, because when you're dealing with like AI robots and that sort of thing, it's about proximity sensors. It's not just line of sight, it's proximity. So we built a mechanic around proximity-based stealth. This stealth system allows you to hide in plain sight, which is cool because, the robots could be there, but if his sensors don't work or they don't work in that range, then he can't see you, which is Doctor Who, for those of you who are, how many nerds are there? Because they make a lot of nerd references. There we go, nerd in the crowd. All right, good. So, just like the Weeping Angels, when they can't see you, then you're all good. So that was the gist of this, and this was pre-COVID. Then COVID happened. And the Culinary Academy needed the social distancing app. So we built the social distancing app based on the principles of that mechanic, that stealth mechanic. It's literally the same thing. And internally we call this social distance Frogger, of course, because that's really what you're doing. You're dodging, you're weaving, you're trying to deliver packages in and out of this hotel room and not get, the negative points. We were very kind about it. If you get in the circle, you just get a grouchy face, some kind of reaction, little alerts show up. But it really gave you that sense of like, back in the day, remember how people didn't really know what 6 feet was? They didn't get that social distance thing. When you were in here, you knew, you understood that it was a lot bigger than you thought it was. VR is extraordinarily powerful, and it's even more powerful in enterprise training. The enterprise in general doesn't even need to be training, just getting people together, experiences, anything. This is a great study, and as game developers, it's very important for you to go out and learn some of these data points, learn these studies that are going on, because it'll help you in the conversations. As game developers, a lot of times you come and you're like, it's so obvious, you should just do this. But you need to tell them why it's so obvious. You need to prove to them with data. Data-driven metrics are going to sell the project for you. This study said that 4 times faster to train than the classroom. That means, like 4 times. How much money is that? Think about the classroom, the space that you're wasting. If you had to put people in training scenarios and you have to have a person monitor all these people in a classroom and they have to set up a room, that's a lot of money, which is endlessly wasting money. I could just put you in a VR headset. I could send the VR headset to somebody who's not even on site. They could train on the same material as the person who's over here. This is the stuff. So we also found in this study that even if they didn't know VR, like VR at all, and they had to be onboarded with a headset, and they just had to go through all that kind of issue, it was still 3 times faster. So initially, it's a little slower to get on there, but that's still a huge savings. And as we grow and as the enterprise gets more and more applications in there, you're just going to hand people the headset, and they're going to know what to do. They're going to be, oh, what modules am I doing today? Okay, got it. Let me go. Vault of Stars is a heavy game. You can do, this is just concept art. You can already tell. You can already feel the headset crying. And this is just the concept art. What does it really look like is this. Now you know the headset's melting on my desk. This is hard. Optimization is hard. Mesh combining, light probes. I'm sure you've all are very well talked in the versatility of optimization technologies. A lot of enterprise people who work in VR are not. They don't know about this. They don't know about lighting. They don't know how to make things fit in a small package. We're really good at this. We know how to optimize stuff. 90 frames per second is no problem. You know, you have to cut corners. You have to make sacrifices, and you just have to make quality choices. So when you take those game skill art and you have technical artists and visual effect artists and you bring them to the enterprise, again, it looks like this. It's a huge difference than a lot of things that I see out there in the enterprise, and why I want to get more game developers into this space, because we have the skills. We know where it's at. People call up all the time from the enterprises and they want a VR developer. What does that mean? What kind of VR developer do you want? Do you want story? Do you want concept art? Are you looking for an animator or a visual effects artist, a tech artist? Like, what is it you're looking for? A game development company is a team of people, and a lot of times you might work with 2 or 3 people and they might cover all of these roles. Absolutely. If someone calls you up in the enterprise and they think you could do all the jobs, just say no. It's that simple. They need to be educated on this. So we need to drive adoption for them by also educating them on what it takes to make high quality VR. Knowledge and experience. We didn't just go into medical. We have several people on the team that have medical backgrounds. I worked in, I'm an engineer, I'm an old school engineer, microcontroller development, all kinds of neat stuff like that. I worked in medical engineering early in my career, and I loved it. It's fascinating to know all the terminology. It's fun to learn the domain. It's exciting to know that you're actually helping real people with the products that you create. And, you know, as a gamer, there's also sort of a risk thing too, you know, because it's a high stakes environment that you got to get the job right. So it's also kind of gamifying me for my job. So I really love it as well. My creative director, she comes from a family of doctors. You should hear her talk to the nurses and the doctors in these environments. You would think she was just one of them. So there's a really good mirror there. And when you have some domain language expertise in anything, lean into that. Like, take advantage of it, because when you're talking to the client, they're going to know you know what you're talking about, that you have some experience and that you have something to bring. And most importantly, you're going to know why. You're going to lower the burden for the partner-client thing. They're going to be shell-shocked when they talk to you. They don't know anything about VR. What does this stuff do? How does this work? How am I going to clean the headset? They're all hung up on the details of the headset when really it's just like a phone, but they're not there yet. So if you're removing barriers by saying, oh, I already know this domain, I'm talking your language, we can have a conversation. Now when you're giving them the information about the VR headset, they're going to be a little more receptive because they're not as scared. You know, you're friendly, you're familiar. So how can you find alignment? And alignment is such a broad term. You know it when you have it. You know when you've worked with clients before, whether it was just helping out another game developer or maybe just helping your friend in the enterprise, and you didn't believe in their mission, or you didn't really understand why. Like, why are you doing it this way? And you found yourself coming up with solutions to problems that don't exist. you're probably not in alignment with them. You probably don't understand the domain well enough. Maybe they're just not a good fit. I've had situations where people have come to us and basically asked for PowerPoint in VR. Guess what I say? No, not doing it. So your knowledge and experience, you have a good fit, get out there, tell your story. Tell people what you did before you got into game development. That's where it's at. Listen to yourself when you're telling a story. Are you excited about it? Like hospitality is such a weird one for me. I have no hospitality experience. My business development director does. You should hear her talk about it. She knows everything. She gets talking to those people. It's just great conversation all the way. Leverage your networks. Go back and look at those people that you had fun working with before you got into game development. Talk to them. See what they're doing now. They're probably all hearing about immersive tech. You could be the gateway to making that happen. Project vision and partner mission. The reason I bring this up is every once in a while you work with somebody and where they're going with the project is not where you think it should go, or maybe not how you think it should happen. You're out of alignment. Don't do it. Just don't do the project. Tell your story again. Keep telling your story. Tell your story to everybody in this room. What are you into? What are you doing game development-wise? What is your background? What would you like to do in VR that you think would solve the world? Like, what would be passionate for you if you worked on it in an enterprise situation? What would make you want to go tell everybody about it? That's where you should be, and you should find that partner, and people in the room will help you find that partner. I turn away work all the time, and a lot of times I just give it to somebody else because they're a better fit than me, and that's how we should help each other. And this is what we're doing with 3 Pound XR. So originally, as a game development company, 3 Pound Games, and we built these experiences, and we slowly evolved into becoming an accelerator, accelerating the XR ecosystem by partnering with domain expertise and building applications with them, commercializing with them, helping them get to market, helping them be successful. And we invite the rest of you to join us on our mission to help other people get their products out there, do whatever it takes to make really high quality content and make sure that they're successful. If they're successful, we are all successful. We're going to have a lot of amazing applications out there. We can all go to market together. If you got medical stuff, you can partner with me. There's plenty of cool manufacturing people out there that have leaned really heavy into that. Just go crazy. Make it happen. Here's our current projects. The 3 Pound XR, this will be our medical division as we build this out. So we're currently at 4 applications that we're working with this year with them. C-diff protocol is one of them. We take a spray and spray the whole room. And it's a really great case study because you think you're going to be good at this and you get the spray, the electrostatic sprayers that are so much fun. You think you're good at this, you're spraying the whole chair. You're like, this is an easy job. It's so easy. Then you hit the UV light on the wall and you're like, oh, now I see the problem. The hospital's going to get sued because I missed the entire side of this chair. That's not good. So we're looking to raise the bar on that. We're also doing fall prevention, suicide prevention, giving them lots of gamified scenarios where they can make sure that they really get that experience and get years and years of experience in a very short amount of time. And our latest, there's our medical slide. There's a bunch of cool stuff, actually. Forgot this slide existed. This is really cool down here. The cleaning stuff is cool because you could see the prints disappearing and like really get a sense of how is this going. We also have a lot of randomization, order of operations, checklist, cleaning, and the medical training over there is actually designed around, those are made up words. And that's a real problem in medical right now because people come on, they get onboarded, they don't necessarily know every one of these medications that exist. They know they're supposed to scan it, but you start seeing packages that look alike and you start making mistakes really quickly. And our latest accelerator project is right there, Alex Azzi. So VR workout, this exists today. So we're not just about VR training. We'll accelerate anybody. If you're on a good mission that we believe in, VR workout is on App Lab currently, and we're redeveloping it in Unity and helping them get to market and just knock it out of the park. He has a demo if anyone wants to check that out. And there's my info. I realized it was the counter. Thank you, thank you. Sorry, I ran a little long there. Do we have time for questions? Before I get kicked out.
Yeah, thank you very much. I've been developing games literally for 40 years professionally. I've coded on the Intellivision. I knew where to go to find customers for games, but now in making the jump to enterprise, are there communities or agencies? Please tell me I'm not knocking on doors to try to find the right person to convince them to use XR. Where do we go? What are the resources to find people who want our expertise?
Honestly, that's what we started to do at first. We started knocking on doors, and that was a total failure situation. So I reached into the networks, and I started finding people that do jobs of things that I think would be cool and the stuff that I really believed in. So, you know, the medical comes from, this is a person that I know who is a senior director at a medical facility, and she believes in the mission, she has a headset, and that connection made it all happen. So, you know, if you have other network things, another thing is partnering with people like me, talk to me. If I hear stuff that's in your wheelhouse, I'll send it your way. It's all about connections. Us game developers tend to just sit in our basements and just code. And, you know, do you think I dress like this? No. You know, I mean, you know, we're Slavs. You know, we're all about the drinking Coke and just staying up all night. And that's a problem. We got to be talking. We got to be telling people our stories, and you got to be passionate about it. So I will talk to you, and I'll get your story after this. That would be awesome.